Hello everybody! Today we're going to cover everything we know about World of Warcraft's upcoming patch 10.2 Guardians of the Dream, including the recently announced release date. To start off, we are going to cover the in-development article that Blizzard released September 7th. I know I am a little bit behind on this news, however I do want to make sure it's still covered on this channel. That way everyone who tunes in will be able to understand what's in the patch before I go to cover some of the more recent information regarding the release date. To start off, we now have the finalized roadmap for 2023, including all of the bullet points for what is coming in the new patch. First off, we do have a new zone coming. That is going to be the Emerald Dream. This is where we will go into this mirror of the western section of the Anaran Plains, where there's this, in the Dragon Isles, we see there's this big basin, effectively, that I've always said is very suspiciously tree-shaped. Turns out I was pretty on the nose about that, because as soon as we enter the Emerald Dream, that is the only part we can actually go to is within that basin, and it's a full landmass with this beautiful tree in the center, known as a Drasil. We go here because Fearok's assault has broke through, and we must go after him to make sure that he doesn't burn down or use the powers of this new world tree. Here we have the next raid that's coming in this patch, which is a Drasil, the Dream's Hope. Fearok has arrived in the Emerald Dream, intent on exacting his evil plans with the help of the Zakalis, Jaredin, and the resurgent Druids of the Flame. If he claims the World Tree of Drasil, it will deliver a time of fire and chaos to Azeroth. In this raid, we do finally encounter Fearok, and we are gonna take him down. And if you guys see this picture here, it mentions a new legendary weapon, Fearoth, the Dreamrender. This is going to be a two-handed strength axe, which will be usable for Death Knights, Paladins, and Warriors. We currently do not know how the acquisition of this axe will exactly be done, but we can assume that it will be at least killing Fearok, right? This brings us on to the next thing. For our world content players, they're going to have Super Blooms, Emerald Frenzies, and Emerald Bounties. These are a cycle of public events that feed into each other. It begins with a Super Bloom, where you follow this spruce crown, this ancient arboreal tree, as it spreads the bloom, helping it complete its purpose by fighting off agents and assisting with the various tasks. You then trigger the Emerald Frenzy, where a sapling appears and you just are collecting a bunch of items to help usher in the Emerald Bounty, where the defenders will test their green thumbs by encouraging a seed to grow and gain rewards for the efforts once the seed blooms. I haven't had the opportunity to dive fully into the PTR to see how all of this works. However, I do remember they mentioned in the various Q&As that they did focus on having the rewards more front-loaded, as opposed to the Researchers Under Fire in patch 10.1. In 10.2, with this world event, it does seem you do get like the best reward first, and then you get the lesser rewards as extras on top of that, which is a much better way to load that reward system. Another important thing coming with this patch is obviously we're going to have a new season. In this Season 3, we are going to have these 8 dungeons. We do see Dawn of the Infinite come to Mythic Plus in its 2 wings, Galakrond's Fall and Murazon's Rise. We see the return of Wakecrest Manor and Atal Dazar from Battle for Azeroth, Darkheart Thicket and Blackrook Hold from Legion, the Everbloom from Warlords of Draenor, and Throne of the Tides from Cataclysm. What I do think is interesting about this is we do have Darkheart Thicket, Blackrook Hold, and the Everbloom all having strong themes of either like nature and night elves, which is a lot of themes of the patch as well, and I do appreciate that. And of course, we'll have a new PvP season as well. There's nothing revolutionary coming to PvP. It's just going to keep being the same it is, at least for now. Hopefully something new and fresh comes to that, as I know it isn't always the most positive of sentiments from that crowd. We do see that there is going to be more dragon riding coming. There's going to be a new set of glyphs, customizations, a new mount, which they don't show a picture of here. I think I have it in one of the future articles we'll be covering, called the Fairy Dragon, with its own new set of customizations. You get this right as you start the questing into the Emerald Dream. I think it's a really cool mount. It looks very unique compared to the other ones, and I'm glad to see that we're adding onto the system, and I can't wait to see what's going to bring in the future. At the end here, it does mention that there is a new world boss, out of story, the hibernating world bosses. I really hope they find something different to do with them. They have basically became something that you do to engage with and get disappointed when you ultimately don't get the loot that you want most of the time. I don't know exactly where they would need to go to make it more engaging. I just do know that in this current iteration, which we've had essentially since Legion, they've all felt about the same, these world bosses, at least to me. And they're not that interesting. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and highlight some of the rest of the features of this patch and the release date we just got, which you can see here on screen. We now know that Guardians of the Dream will be going live the week of November 7th, with November 7th being the day that the patch officially launches, and then November 14th being when the raid starts, and that will be when the new season starts as well. It does highlight here the things we just went over: the new outdoor zone, the Emerald Dream, Amir to Soul the Dream's Hope, the new public events, Dragonflight Season 3, more dragon riding, the world boss, all that wonderful stuff, right? And we do see here, November 14th, that is whenever the raid will arrive, with its 9 bosses, the dragon riding encounter, that legendary axe for you Death Knights, Paladins, and Warriors. Now let's go over this graphic a little bit, because I think it's actually really nice. To cover, it does highlight the Dream Wardens, which is the new faction associated with this patch that's coming. They're going to have their own suite of rewards of, customizations, mounts, new transmogs, all sorts of the usual stuff that we've had in Dragonflight, right? There's going to be its own renown track with it. And here we actually do get to see a really nice picture of this fairy dragon. There's going to be new races as well in the Emerald Dream. And I think overall, if you've liked Dragonflight, you're going to like this patch. It doesn't do anything revolutionary from what I've seen. There's some nice things. Blood Elves get some extra customization. Druids, we're getting a really nice suite of customization options, including ones for the Moonkins, which have not had anything new in quite a long time. However, it is just another, it follows very much the Dragonflight model of patch, so to speak, right? And there isn't anything wrong with that at all. It's just, if you have not been engaging with this expansion very well, this is likely not going to change that for you and bring you back. I think that it's a wonderful time to play World of Warcraft. I've been enjoying the time I've been playing it, just going very casually, completing the story content, enjoying even the 0.5 and 0.7 patches, which I feel like have brought a decent amount to the game. I particularly enjoyed 10.1.5 and its time rifts. We will cover most of that discussion maybe in a separate video or on my stream for the future. Let's end here this last article that I wanted to go ahead and share with you guys. This one is hot off the presses today, along with that release date information. So we do see that we have a new raid unlock schedule for the raid finder difficulty of this raid. We have the first wing coming unlock on the first week that Mythic and Heroic and Normal go live. And that is on the 14th. You'll be able to fight those first 3 bosses. The next week, you get to fight the next 2. The next week after that, you can fight the following 2 as well. And then finally, 2 weeks later, so there's a 2-week gap between Wing 3 and Wing 4 opening, you get to finish off the raid, which I think is really nice, since it is very for like story-oriented players, people who aren't really taking that extra step of pugging Normal or joining a guild, getting in a more organized setting. It is nice for them to be able to experience the basics of the story through LFR, even with all the issues that I know LFR does have, right? Here again, we actually are going to highlight the different bosses. It starts out with Gnarlroot. Once a devoted protector of the Emerald Dream, this formerly majestic ancient has been ravaged by flame and now only seeks to destroy. Then we have Ingira, the cruel. Driven by cruelty, Ingira is able to forge devastating weapons from the screams of her enemies. Within the verdant realm of the Emerald Dream, the torturer seeks to expand her arsenal. Volcaros. It is said that Volcaros, the lava serpent, is so vast that no creatures live long enough to see him in his entirety. The gargantuan viper now coils himself around the Emerald Dream to devour it whole. I like a lot of the bosses from this. I always wish that for these bosses and raids, we got to see a bit more of them doing this stuff. I know that's a lot of groundwork they would have to lay and a lot of questing and different ways to introduce these characters. I always just feel like the beginning bosses don't get enough built up to them. The Council of Dreams. The Council of Dreams are steadfast in their duties as defenders. Pip employs lethal trickery to confound his victims, while Urktos relies on brute strength to demolish his enemies. Erwin uses her wisdom and cunning to dominate the field and guide her fellow council members. So I'm assuming that we're going to have this one be Pip, this one is Urktos, and this one is Erwin, if I were to guess. Because Faye is usually trickery. The sound is very bear. And then Erwin is the one that's left. Alright, we then go to Larodar, Keeper of the Flame. Once the faithful protector of the grove, Larodar succumbed to the power of flame. Now the Twisted Guardian is bent on reducing the dream and any who stand in his way to ash. I actually do want to highlight something. I do enjoy that they've been bringing back the Druid of the Flame, calling on a previous group which we fought before in our fight in Cataclysm against Ragnaros, and bringing them like that. This is a different sect of them, so it's not like as if we're fighting the exact same people, but very similar motivations, right? And I think that's really cool. We then fight Naimu, Weaver of the Cycle. Naimu was placed... is it Naimu or like Nimu? I'm not sure. I'm not always great with pronunciation. But she was placed in the Verdant Realm when Aenar and Freya shaped the dream. In Wellspring Temple, they enforce and protect the ordering of the Emerald Dream, weaving its wilderness into complex patterns. Okay, so Wellspring Temple. That's the name of where we actually enter Amir Drasil, the raid. This definitely seems like the sort of boss which we just kind of knock some sense into, that we don't actually kill. Same with the Council of the Dream. And then we get to Smolderon. As the new Fire Lord, Smolderon has unleashed the power of the Firelands to expand his domain and incinerate the Emerald Dream. I haven't looked at the actual raid previews to see how these boss fights turn out. I hope that this doesn't mean he's dead, because it does say there's a portal to Firelands in the raid, right? And if that means we are in Firelands for this part and we're killing him, I feel like that would be kind of a shame for him to just... I don't know. I feel like there should have been more focus and build up before killing him in this raid. Just in contrast to like Ragnaros, who we had a lot more build up and story time with. I guess is who I'm comparing that to. Then we have Tendril Sage Swift, Seer of the Flame. Very similar vibes for me to, I think it's Staghelm from Firelands, the penultimate boss there as well, where this guy is obsessed with destroying immortality to the Kaldorei. Tendril Sage Swift agreed to work with Thorak. On the cusp of Thorak's victory, the Seer of Flame stands against the champions of Azeroth, ready to ensure Amir Drasil is reborn in flame. I'm not really sure what that would mean, but a living tree that's on fire does sound cool, but I guess we do have to be against these guys. All destruction and such. And then finally, Firak the Blazing, engorged with the power of Shadow Flame and wielding the legendary axe Firalath the Dreamrender. Firak now prepares to feast on the energies of Amir Drasil itself. It's also really cool that we do get two different appearances from this fight. Is it 2 or is it 3? I'm trying to think now. So there's actually 3 dragon riding things we get from this fight, right? Because there is the regular Firak, which I believe is any difficulty that has a chance to drop. So that's very similar on the same lines as with Aberrus, with that Elementum armor, with Razageth and her skin dropping on any difficulty. And same with Firak's regular skin. Now this one, the Shadow Flame, this is an ahead of the curve skin, which, if you guys know anything and keep up with what we've been doing these past few expansions, ahead of the curve mounts, or in this case a skin, only comes for the last raid of an expansion. And I know this has been talked about to death, but I really do think that along with that permanent rune that is also coming in this patch are extremely strong signs that this is the last raid of Dragonflight. And that does make me a little sad. We'll see how these next patches go to really lead us into the next expansion. I've just enjoyed Dragonflight so much, to have it end so quickly just does feel like a shame. And then also, there is the final mount from this, which is a mythic mount. It's a mythic dragon riding mount, actually, with a new skin. This is owl. So we do have this image from Wowhead of the mythic Varak mount. This is a beautiful mount. I hope we get some other colorations of this that are easier to obtain. I'm personally not a mythic raider, and I don't think that's something that is likely to change as soon as when this patch is coming out. And I would love to have this owl as a dragon riding mount. This is the first non-dragon dragon riding mount we've actually seen coming to live. Of course, we've seen all the updates in the game files, but this is the first one to live. To finish us up here, I am going to cover really quickly the armor sets, which we have seen coming to this new raid. I think a lot of these are really nice. Here we see on the left Death Knight, then Monk, Druid, and Hunter. The Death Knight, it's one of the best. Well, I mean, it's got spikes coming from its eyes, guys. Like, that's amazing. Like, if he's like, this is really nice. The Monk one, I actually appreciate how it isn't exactly the same as a lot of the past Monk ones we've had. It's very changing the script, so to speak. I like the cranes being highlighted. There's no orbs to be seen. The Druid one, while I have seen some negativity around this online, I actually like it a lot. It seems like a very strong callback to the Fireland styles of sets, just as a higher res model. The shoulders are at a bit of a weird angle for me. However, overall, I think it's a good set, right? And then Hunter, it's a Hunter set. I mean, there's really nothing else to say about that. Evokers, I'm not sure exactly how to feel about this, because this is I mean, heck, this is only the third raid we're seeing an Evoker set, right? So they're very much still setting the expectations of what we get as Evoker sets. Currently is very much, they are dragon mages, which is really what they are, right? So I think it's very on the nose. We do have the Burger King set here in the middle with the Paladin. It's just weird. It's very unnerving to me. The swords just really throw me off. The Warrior set I think is really nice. I like the chains on the boots. I actually didn't realize that was a feature. That actually looks really nice. Here we have Rogues, Mages, and Priests. Rogues goes really hard. I like that golden mask. I believe these are all the mythic tents as well. The Mage one, there's actually a bit of a sad part on this because in some earlier versions of the PTR, you could still see your hair. And it clipped through the hat, but it was nice to actually be able to see your hair on these hats. It was just a really nice touch that they went back to how they've always done, which is fine. You know, that's how it is with PTR. Don't get your expectations set on something that is going to change. This preset is really nice. Obviously, we got the best preset we've ever had, in my humble opinion, with Aberrus. It was just 10 out of 10. This one, it's good. It's like a 9 out of 10, which isn't bad. Just the last sets did go really hard. And then here, to end us off, we have the Warlock, Shaman, and Demon Hunter. The Warlock sets always go really hard. They're really nice. The Demon Hunter one I want to cover next. That's a glowing head. It's making it look like transparent, like it's not there. That's a really cool effect. I'm happy to see where this goes in the future, right? Like, this is really nice. And then we do have the Shaman. I like this a lot because this is something I saw through the PTR. The Shamans, I don't remember if it's the 2 set or the 4 set, but it summons like these wolves to help with the attacks in like a animation effect. And the fact that the set ties into that really well, showing a reflection of what the bonus it's giving you is very thematic, and I enjoy that a lot. Alright guys, that's everything I wanted to cover with Dragonflight Guardians of the Dream, the basics on the info with it, and it's coming November 7th for everyone, the raid the week after. This will be after BlizzCon, where we will know what the next expansion is. If you guys enjoyed this video and made it all to the end, please feel free to drop a sub, a like, a comment down below on what you're most excited for with this patch. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. If there's any videos you made, any questions you have asked, you want answered about WoW, just let me know, and I'll see what I can do, alright? I will also be streaming regularly on Sundays and Wednesdays from now on, World of Warcraft on my channel, twitch.tv/Popicus. If you guys ever want to just come, hang out, chill, talk about WoW, watch me collect some random mounts or do some current content, whatever it is we're feeling that day. And as always, thank you everyone for tuning into these videos. You guys are great. Have a wonderful day.